Guys, we have a great class for you today for anyone who is feeling like they want to get a better handle on their weekly flow, their weekly family schedule, and feel a little more fulfilled at the end of each week. We're going to be hearing from Miranda Anderson from Live Free Miranda. She is a podcast host, an author. She specializes in minimalist living, and she is a great teacher. You guys are going to love this class, and I hope you'll all watch through her points to see all the different ways she suggests that we can improve our family schedule and flow.
Hi there, I'm Miranda Anderson, or Live Free Miranda. I'm a mom of 3, a blogger, an author, a weekly podcast host, and a practical minimalist. What I'm excited to teach you about today is the idea of building your ideal weekly baseline schedule. I love to think of this process that I'm going to share with you as designing my ideal week, a week that I could put on repeat forever and feel super fulfilled and in love with my life. So I'm going to share 7 tips for building a baseline schedule that will create an ideal blueprint for the type of life that you would like to live. One of my favorite quotes comes from Plato, the philosopher. He said, "In order to seek one's own direction, one must simplify the mechanics of ordinary everyday life." I love this simple quote that reminds us that if we want to find ourselves and if we want to feel fulfilled in our lives, one of the best ways to do it is to simplify. To simplify not only our belongings and our time management, but to simplify the mechanics of how that all fits together. I hope that over the next few minutes that you learn a couple things that will help you simplify the mechanics of your everyday life so that you feel even more fulfilled. Okay, let's start with number 1. Number 1 is to determine what matters most to you. Now, this is kind of a big one to start with, but it is really important because if you don't have a vision of what you want your life to look like or feel like, then it's going to be really hard to create it. So I want you to take a little bit of time and reflect on, what do you want your life to include? What type of activities? What type of family time? How do you want to take care of yourself? Do you want to make space for spirituality? Do you want to make space for exercise? And do you want to make space for education? How are you going to make sure that all of the things that you love and want to do in your life exist in your weekly schedule? By determining what those things are first. You have to start with the vision and then work backwards. So in number 1, I just want to encourage you to take a little bit of time and write down your activities, not the ones that you currently do, but those that you would like to do, those that you wish you had time for, because we're going to create space for the things that matter most to you. Once you have a good idea of what matters and what you want to include, we're going to move on to number 2, which is to divide your week into chunks or sections. Rather than going hour by hour each day, we're going to create these big sections or blocks of time throughout the week. Now, imagine one of those IKEA shelving units with all the squares or the cubes that you can put baskets in. A lot of us have used them in our toy storage or other areas in the house. I think that's a good visualization of what your week could look like. It's big chunks, big blocks of time that are ready for whatever you're going to put in there, and you're going to decide what the baskets are and then put your activities in each week as you go. So imagine this IKEA shelf as your week. And you're gonna have 7 across, you're gonna have however many up and down sections make sense for your life. So in order to determine how many sections you have in each day or how many chunks or baskets of time, we're going to move on to number 3, which is to divide each of your days based on some naturally occurring breaks. So I would say the beginning of each day will be when you wake up. This could be hypothetically when you would like to wake up, or it could be when you actually wake up. I would try to stay as realistic as possible if you want this to be a schedule that works for you. The next naturally occurring break might be around breakfast time. You might have another break between breakfast and lunch. Or, I mean, for me and my family, we eat breakfast around 8:30 or 9 and we have lunch around noon. And so that's a good enough break right there. Those are naturally occurring breaks. So go ahead and add maybe someone coming home from work would be the next naturally occurring break. Maybe you have young kids and so you're doing nap times. The point is this is supposed to be individual. It's supposed to work for you. So think of your own naturally occurring breaks during the week, and some days might be a little different than others. So go day by day, create your naturally occurring breaks, and that is your IKEA cabinet baseline blocks. Step number 4 is now to categorize your baskets. You get to add those pretty labels to your shelving unit, to each of the baskets, so you know what to put in it. This is really a great way to create a baseline because you're creating a blueprint so you know what goes where when you look at your calendar. An example of this would be maybe the first basket in your day is going to be morning routine. You're not saying specifically run 3 miles, read 7 scriptures, call 2 friends. You're just saying my morning routine is going to happen during this time frame. Another great example is to use something like household chores or household errands and give that basket a label. So you know that on Tuesdays, in your afternoon time, or on Thursdays in your morning hours, those are the times that you're going to get your household duties done and run any errands if you happen to have any for the household. Now, this gives you the ability to then, when you're scheduling specifics later, know exactly where to put things because you've already decided where the labels are on your basket. At this point in step 4 is a great time to reflect back to all of your answers from number 1. Have you created a basket of time in your week for your personal development and self-care? Are all of the things that you're scheduling, these categories, are they all things that you are supposed to do for other people or things that you feel like you should be doing? Or are a lot of them, most of them, things that you're excited about, that you want to do, that you are choosing? Because remember that everything is optional. You don't have to do anything. You get to choose how to design your ideal life. And if you don't categorize and create space for the things that you want, no one else is going to do that for you. So make sure as you're doing this step that you have categories and chunks of time set aside for the things that you want to do because you want to run a happy household, and also things you want to do because they light your soul up and you love them. In number 5, I want you to take a quick look and see if there are some regularly scheduled things that you can automate. For example, some types of household duties or the tasks or things that we do every single week seem to weigh on us all the time because we haven't decided when to do them. So one example is laundry. You might feel like you're always doing laundry because you think about it all the time, and the reason you think about it all the time is because you haven't decided which basket to put it in. So choose for some of the things that happen weekly, like laundry or maybe a thorough household cleaning or taking a child on a bike ride, things that you want to do every single week. These are things that it might be appropriate to choose a specific basket to put them in once a week. Maybe if you have some household duty or household chore times every day, you could decide on Monday we do grocery shopping, on Tuesdays we do the laundry, on Wednesdays we organize the garage, or maybe choose one area of the house to organize. And so you don't have to rethink it every single week. You already know where some of those specifics go because they are the same every week. There's a lot of things that are going to change every week, but those specific things, see if you can plug them in to a basket or a category. That's called automating. Okay, we're on to the last 2. Number 6 is to use your baseline schedule as you plan each week. So at this point, you should have a divided up schedule with blocks of time throughout the whole week, baskets of time, and categories for each of those baskets of time. This way, when you have your to-do list or your specific activities, soccer practice, meeting with this group for church virtually, doing homework, whatever your specifics are, maybe someone invites you to something or a client calls and wants to schedule a meeting, you know, looking at your weekly schedule, that meeting should go during your work hours, and you can choose which of those work hours they are. Especially if you work from home like me, it's really important to have that time divided out. Your daughter wants to go to a local park to go on a hike. You can schedule that in as you're looking at the week. When would be a good time for that? Probably not during the afternoon hours that is someone else's nap time or that you've decided is your household duty time. That's when you were planning on doing laundry and cleaning up around the house. So maybe you schedule that in your family activities morning because you have a basket set aside for that. All of the things that matter to you are labeled, and so you know where to put the specifics, each individual little toy, when it comes into your life. This also helps you understand when something comes into your life that you didn't choose, someone invites you to be a part of something or an opportunity arises that you have to make a decision on, you can reflect on your schedule and look at this baseline And if it's something that really doesn't fit in any of the things you decided that you want, you can easily say, no, thank you. It doesn't fit into my life right now. I have all of the things that I love, and there's a place for all of those. That means that anything extra that I'm not really that interested in can be moved aside without a problem. The final step, step 7, is to be flexible. This is something that you may have to change as the times and seasons of your life changes. This year, especially 2020, has been one where I have gone back to my baseline weekly schedule to make revisions several times. It takes a while for things to settle in, to decide if you like the way that it works. So think of this as an experiment and try it on for a little while. Do a couple weeks with one schedule and see if you like the way that you feel. And if not, then make a couple adjustments. The idea is that you revise rather than abandon. Because when you abandon the schedule completely, then all of the parameters and the blueprint and all of the things that you really want to do just disappear, and you go back to living at the mercy of whatever happens in your life rather than what you want. So experiment, be flexible, and enjoy the process of creating a baseline ideal week for yourself.
Okay, wasn't that an awesome class? I told you guys we're going to love it. We love that class. We love hearing from Miranda. She is such a gifted teacher, and I hope it's given us all a little inspiration to get our lives a little more organized and our schedule a little, not just more organized, but also more fulfilling to us. That's what I loved about her message. So if you guys want to find her today in our stories, we're going to put a swipe up link to her book that she wrote. It's called More Than Enough. It's an amazing book, and then we're also going to be putting a swipe up link to her podcast, which is called Live Free Creative Podcast. And we'll also put a link to her handle if you guys want to go find her and learn more from Miranda. Thank you so much, Miranda. As always, if you guys love the class, will you leave a comment or a note for her or share it with your friends and family? Thanks, guys.